The deadline closes tomorrow for people to comment on the government plans for compensation over the high-speed rail line, which is planned to run through the Chilterns. HS2 will run from London to Birmingham. You know the story, of course. A campaign group opposed to the plan says more than 170,000 homes are blighted by the route, but only 3,000 are likely to get compensation. The HS2 Action Alliance is calling on people to back a property bond scheme. Emma Crane is from HS2 Action Alliance. Emma, very good afternoon to you.
Hi there.
How would this property bond scheme actually work?
Well, it essentially means that if people want to try and sell their homes and they find that they can't sell them, or they can only sell them at a big loss because of HS2, then the government will essentially step in as a buyer of last resort. So it's really intended to mean that the property market keeps functioning, so that sales can keep going ahead without people suffering loss in value on their properties, with the knowledge that the government would, in the event that it had to, buy someone's property from them. Because at the moment you've got a situation where often people can't sell, or if they can sell, they have to take a big loss in value.
You've got hold of a report, I understand, which has gone to government outlining the levels of compensation. Now, why is that important?
It's important because we know that the government who commissioned this report from PwC, the government found out in this report that property blight stretches pretty far, at least to 500 metres, and in some circumstances quite a bit further than that, depending on where it is. And it can be up to sort of 40% and out to sort of 20%, depending on what distance. But the point is the government knew that blight stretched a lot further than the compensation schemes that it's offering to people. So essentially they're just leaving taxpayers to take the hits when, through no fault of their own, they just happen to live near it.
But the building of the line is still, Emma, years away. Why is it so important to get an agreement now?
I think just to give people certainty and to make sure that people are not suffering losses for something that, we are being told is in the national interest. I think the government needs to protect people who, through no fault of their own, are suffering losses because of this. And it's to allow the property market to continue to function as well, because you've got situations where it's falling, people are finding it difficult to sell, where they're selling at big losses. And I think it's up to the government to protect those people rather than just leaving them to their own devices, trapped in their homes.
See, the government would argue, Emma, that they are taking this issue very seriously. They have got a consultation process running. I mean, what more do you want them to do?
We want them to give better and fairer compensation, because at the moment we're on the 6th consultation on compensation, and 4 years have gone by and still people don't know what compensation they're getting. And the compensation that the government is offering is not at all fair, and it's not proportionate to the losses that people are suffering. I mean, the current consultation is offering payouts of something like between 7,500 to 22,500. Now, okay, that sounds like a nice big lump sum just for people to get. But when you look at the actual losses being suffered, people are suffering up to, in some cases, sort of 40% loss in value on their properties. And the amounts that are being offered just don't go any way towards compensating people for that loss.
And is there enough pressure on the government, Emma, to get this deal done and give the people affected by HS2, who will be affected by HS2, certainly across the Chilterns, to give them a fair and equitable deal? Is there enough pressure being placed on them?
Well, we're all fighting hard and trying to put pressure on the government. I think the way that people can do that is by responding to the consultation and having their say, and they can do that. We've got a simple web tool on our website, which is www.hs2aa.org, and they can respond that way. It takes about 30 seconds. Just make their views clear to the government, because this is about HS2, this is about a railway line, but equally it applies to all sorts of infrastructure projects that governments may want to do that may affect other people at a point in the future. And I think it's important the government's fair about it and treats people fairly.
Emma, thank you for your time. Emma Crane is from the HS2 Action Alliance.